you just have to take things at face value, and we'll wait and see if anything changes. I guess the way that I've looked at things is, for people in the U.S. at least, we already have enough supply of vaccines between the 3 approved vaccines to cover the entire U.S. population. And so having another vaccine will be helpful and could accelerate our ability to get to enough people vaccinated, but we don't need it.
Yeah, some very important perspective. Maybe AstraZeneca more the vaccine for the world because it's cheap to make and easy to store. So where do we stand in our vaccine rollout, Matthew? We haven't heard a lot about J&J, surprisingly enough. We talk a lot about Pfizer, Moderna. Read an article yesterday, some people wondering where exactly all the J&J doses actually are, stuck in a warehouse somewhere. Where do we stand right now?
So we're dosing somewhere between 2 and 2.5 million people a day. From a supply picture, we can probably get up to 4 million people a day, though we'll have to see if we have enough vaccinators to reach that number. But as long as we stay on the same trajectory that we're on, we could get to 75%, which is what I sort of view as the herd immunity threshold of people that are 12 years and older, which will be the population where you'll have an approval by midsummer. So I think the U.S. remains on a pretty strong trajectory with the supply that they have from the 3 vaccines right now.
And a lot of scary terms that are floating around, Matthew. Variants. Some people call them mutants. I mean, they're taking over. They're becoming the dominant strain. All viruses do mutate. We know that. These vaccines appear to be, and correct me if I'm wrong, pretty effective on some of these other strains as well. How serious of an issue are these so-called variants, particularly in states like Michigan and New York, that are seeing sort of this biggest turn up in cases, Minnesota included as well?
Right. So variants are expected. And as an example, the UK variant is the most prevalent in the US right now. It's about 30% of cases in the US. Vaccines are quite effective against the UK variant. Other variants that carry this mutation, the so-called E484K mutation, which is present in the South African mutation and maybe present in the New York variant, as well as some of the other variants that are in the US. That may confer a little bit lower efficacy of the vaccine, but I think the important point is that in the data that we've seen in South Africa, where you have a so-called potentially escaped variant, vaccines still prevent the most serious disease. And so I think from a public health standpoint, that's what's most important. So right now, vaccines are still working against variants, and we'll just have to see if other variants come up that may require additional attention. I'd also just make a comment that the vaccine companies are working on variant-specific strains, and so there will be vaccines against those variants if needed.
Shepard Smith here. Thanks for watching CNBC on YouTube.